Hope everybody's having a good day today. I wanted to make a video today just outlining how I did a central vac system on my own for my own house rather than hiring somebody to do the work. And my specific central vac system is a Vacuflo system, which has been around for years. My grandparents had them for 50 years. My parents has had them in their house since 94, so about 30 years. And then I'm hoping that my system will last 50 years with no problems. But there's different reasons why I went with Vacuflo. I can explain them later, but most of the things that we're going to go through here today, I think will go toward a lot of different types of systems. And I just wanted to make a video on the plumbing section and how I had everything set up on mine, because a lot of the videos I've seen don't really go in detail at the actual wall. They only show you what you're looking at the motor. And so you really don't get a good detail unless you've got studded walls and you can look at everything. So that's why I wanted to make a video. We just sort of did it on our own, no experience or anything like that. I'll give you a little overview before I get started, and I'll try to put chapters, so I'll do like when I actually first start talking about it, and I'll do this as an intro maybe. I've got an 1,800 square foot house, and the way I ordered my system is I gave the distributor a basic rough drawn, how everything was going to be roughly, not the final, but just something. And basically 1,800 square foot, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and that gave them enough information to give me what I needed. So we went with 4 outlets, and he said that would be plenty. And I also went with the 30-foot the hose, I guess, that goes into the wall. That way I'd had plenty of room to go room to room, and I could spread everything out. So the first thing I did once I got the system unboxed and in the house, once we got studs up, I had to kind of plan my route. The one thing that you got to remember with these systems is you have to know where your end is going to be as far as your furthest your furthest plug, your furthest drop, I'd call it, and then where your motor is going to be, because everything has to come from one side to the other because you're sucking through a tube. And so you have to plan out where your Y's are, where your joints are going to be, and how you're going to run all your piping, because you can't backtrack. You have to go one direction. So my system only came with 3 Y's, which I'll show you what those are. But really, with 4 drops, you only need 3. So let's start by looking at where I've got everything situated, and then we'll just start kind of showing you how I went up through the studs into my I-beams. You've got these joists, these I-joists, and then how I ended up putting them out through my attic space. And if you had a house with a like a crawl space, you could drop it into there. If you had a basement, you drop them into there. In my case, I'm on concrete, so I had to do everything up into the attic and then put my system upstairs. So I'll start here, and it's kind of dark. I got a little flashlight for some of it, just not a lot of light gets in here. So let's walk over here. So right here's my first drop. It's in my hallway where my 2 bedrooms are, my 2 guest bedrooms and my guest bathroom. And what I wanted is a way to be able to reach everything in this room, and imagining there's a desk or bed or something, and get into the closet, and then also into this room, around in that closet, these areas. And I also wanted to be able to get a lot of this room as well. So I've kind of planned everything and pulled the cords, pulled the hose where I could get to all that. So, like I said, the first one here, all of them are set up the same. This one's a little harder to see because I've got a little insulation already installed. But basically, you want to have everything at the same height as all your plugs. So I got a plug there, there's a plug here. So you can measure that and just, put them at the same height, because this is your finished flush. This will be flush with the wall, and so you'll put your plate on after that. Now, the one thing I was going to mention about the Vacuflo system, the reason I bought the Vacuflo is because on the Vacuflo system, you've got a low voltage wire, which goes to your flap, your inlet valve, and then it's got a switch on it. These wires go to a switch, and I'll show you the wire here. So your wire, you've just got 2 wires. It's like 18 gauge. It's like 18.2 low voltage. And so these 2 will go into just a slot on the back of the switch, and then when you open the switch, it initiates the connection and turns your motor on. So on this system, you don't have to have an external plug. It's just you open it, put your hose in, and everything works. And that's why I like the Vacuflo system, because it's simple and you don't have to worry about having an extra plug that you have to plug in. It's all just works off suction. So like I said, everything, this is your finished, where your drywall set up to, and there's 4 screws that go in there where your finished valve goes in, your switch. And so, like I said, all this will be covered except for this, and I'll plug that other in, screw it on, and I'll be done. And then while I'm looking at this low voltage wire, I just looped it around the 2-inch pipe. I was told by the distributor to secure it with electrical tape. So there's electrical tape all along the hose pipe, all the way on every drop to the motor. So you can see it runs on that eye joist. So we just took, it's 2-inch pipe, like I said. We took a hole drill that was like, I think it was 2 1/4, 2 1/8. I believe mine was 2 1/4. And we drilled through, straight up, through everything. And then right there you can see a 90-degree barely there, where we 90'd it. And these are all lazy angles. But then we blocked it with some 2x4s to keep it off the eye joist, keep it even all the way across the 20-foot span there. And to secure the weight of the pipe, we've put some zip ties that have these holes in them, and so you can screw the zip tie to just put a screw through it to the zip tie and secure it to the I-beam, and then just wrap it around the pipe, and that secures it weight-wise all the way down. And then, and like I said, the blocking just keeps it straight. But we did that whole span from my first end span up across to my first connection, my Y joints I was talking about. So you can see right there a Y joint. You've got the one coming in from the dead end, and then the other one coming up from this other drop. So each Y has, 2 drops coming into it. And right here is the master bedroom drop, and it can get all of this bedroom. It can get the master bath. It can even get a good bit of the laundry room behind here. You can see the walk-through. And it also get out here and get all the living room, most of the sitting area for the kitchen. But same thing, I've got it blocked up nice. You can block it to the 2x4. We just wanted it out a little bit, so we blocked it out in the middle. And got my low voltage wire run up just the same. It runs to a 90 degree joint, lazy 90. Again, we blocked and zip tied everything to the eye joist. And when we come up here, you can see my Y right there. We did another 90 vertical and then come into my Y from the other drop, the first drop, and it goes into one single pipe here into my attic space. That was a little tricky. That was probably the trickiest section of the whole thing, because you've got a long distance here coming all the way across into there, and then a lot of turns here, and you got to get it all straight. And from there, we've got another drop here in the kitchen area, which will get most of this area, and then also the laundry room. Same thing, blocked up, straight up, and it goes at a couple, I think 45s. Yeah, those are 2 45s. So the kit comes with 90 degrees and 45s, and comes with a few Ys. But it come with plenty. They sent me more than enough of everything and just enough Ys. And it goes up there into my attic space. So everything's just going up between the joist and then out. And so I'll walk up there and show you that after I show you this last drop. So I could do everything with my system on an 1,800 square foot house on 3 drops, but I wanted a 4th one so that I could have it in my shop. So when I'm cleaning vehicles and things, I've got another drop here out in my shop. And so same thing, it don't go straight up, it does come around. I've got a couple 45s, then straight up into the eye joist again. We'll walk back around here. And you can see that's a lot like the other one we just showed you, the 3rd drop. Just 2 45s and straight up. And you can see the bottom of my motor right there. That's the clean out. So that's pretty much everything as far as how I set everything up. I know that's simple, but we're also going to walk up top. I'll show you that. But as far as knowing how to set everything up, it's going to be on you to figure out where you need to be, how long your hoses are going to be. You can have a short hose, long hose. But either way, you have to kind of plan that out with the distributor, whoever you're buying your system with. You know, you might go to Lowe's and buy a Bemis or something, which I don't like those systems. Like I said, a lot of those require you to put a plug in, especially when you're doing like carpet sweepers. But again, the Vacuflo probably cost a little more, but they've been around for more than 50 years. And I've loved them since I was a kid. Like I said, my grandparents have them. My mother has them. I've had them now. So it's a good system. I think I paid $1,800 for mine. I'll look real quick. I'll find out by the end of the video exactly. But I've had it a few years, or about 2 years now. And but with COVID, I just ordered everything early, and now I'm just now getting my house built. So anyway, we're just finishing everything up. So let's walk upstairs. And what I'll show you up there is how everything goes up into the attic and goes to the motor, and how I do my exhaust, because I just got that done yesterday. And I want to just show you kind of the setup, and we'll go from there. So I'm up here in my attic space, and I've got a little different setup than most folks would. If you're doing a normal house, your attic space is, you know, usually a lot more dimly lit and a lot closer, maybe more like down here. But with mine, I'm building in a metal building, so you can see my shop continues on out there, and then my house is just partitioned inside the building. You've got my I-beams here. You know, I'm up here at my insulation. So what I've done is I've decked everything, and it makes it a lot easier to do this, you know, exactly what I'm doing here, and allows me to get to everything. But that's another whole story. But if you want more information about that, you can message me on my website, and I'll put links in the description. You can go to some videos I've made about my build. But what we're looking at here is how I've come up between the I-joists. So what I did in my specific build is I raised my main living area to 9 foot. And that's why you've got a stair step here, and then all my bedrooms and bathrooms are 8 foot. So it allows me to come up through here and have this void to where I don't have to cut out anything. I come right out, and they can just block around this and cover that up later. So it made it easier in my situation to do the install. It's also easier to maintenance if I ever do maintenance. My parents have never maintenanced. My grandparents have never maintenanced. Except for both of them, they've put new motors in the system. But that's it. Nothing with a tubing. It's always been good. That does leave this exposed to the possibility of stepping on something. But, you know, I'm going to try to block it. But anyway, it allows me to work on it and show you. As you can see here, I'm going to put the camera down here. And you can see inside that I-beam kind of how the run goes through the middle there. I think you can see that a little bit. It's hard for me to see. And then so the one that comes through the I-beam is the first drop, and my second drop comes up right here, and your Y, or my Y, I guess, is right there. It's hard for me to see, but everything comes out at 45s onto the floor here. And what ends up happening is you've got your two ends, like I said, go to the Y. You drop down to here, and you've also got your low voltage wire all connected. I'll kind of show you that, but I was just going to run down this tubing for a minute. So you've got my 2 coming out to there, my 1 and 2, basically my end drop, my bedroom drop. And then you come here, you've got another Y. This is what the Y looks like. It's real important to pay attention to what you're doing, because it's hard to see there. You can see a little arrow right there on the Y, and that's showing you your airflow. So everything comes from this side through here, going that way. So that's key when you're setting everything up, that everything goes toward the arrows, toward your motor. You're always going toward your suction. Then we'll roll down here, and you'll see some of my connectors. I've had to use several of those, just when an 8-foot pipe meets another. And then you go to my 4th drop right there, and it comes up on a Y right under the motor. And then you've got this trunk line running into this trunk line. Then it goes up on this pipe right here and goes into my inlet, and that's where everything drops down into your clean out. So from there, your inlet goes into the side of the motor. Your exhaust comes out here in the same way. You just got, I'll grab this. You've got a little rubber connector and a couple crimps you got to put on there, and then you just start your pipe. You run out. That is the exhaust, and the way that exhaust sits on there, I did not glue this. It didn't really explain how to do that. There was no instructions with any of this. What I decided, and this may be temporary, it may be long term, but I put some zip ties around here so that the weight doesn't separate these joints and these joints. And again, I don't know if you're supposed to glue that or not, but I left it to where I can just secure it with a band, and then all this is all glued. And then from there, your exhaust that just quiets the motor. I've got it banded on mine. You could band that to a 2x4. It's banded level, or as level as I could get it, all the way down to the end here at about a 2 1/4 inch hole. Basically, there's a flap out there, and when the motor turns on, it opens up and exhausts the just the air. So that's all this pipe is an exhaust pipe out to the outside, and I'll show you that flap. The flap did not come on my system, but it was $10 online, so it was real cheap to get one of those. I think I bought mine on some website. I think you can get them on Amazon too. So right there is the exhaust on the top. That's my dryer vent there, but that is my central vac exhaust. So when the engine or the motor turns on, the flap opens and exhaust just comes out. So that just creates the whole system. You know, I guess the suction, you have to have the exhaust on it. So that's where that goes to. It's just screwed to the metal out there. You can put it on brick or anything. I just painted them sort of to match so it wouldn't be white, but they came white. They were about $9 and something, $10. Something else I'm going to show you, just about putting your pipes together, because it's real important when you start getting your angles. When you dry fit everything, and you want to dry fit everything before you glue, I wanted to mark kind of where everything was, so I made these little marks. You can see the black Sharpie marks there, and that basically just gave me something to reference when I actually put the glue on to get my angles right, because it's kind of specific, those 45s, to bring this out and then back into here, because I was trying to get a specific line through there. Same thing on any of this stuff in the I-beams. All those had to be marked. You don't really have to necessarily mark a straight like that. You can see that one's even maybe a little off there. It's hard to see there, but anyway, but that was real helpful. So it'll be helpful for you if you go ahead and mark all this stuff ahead of time before you glue. Other than that, like I said, I wanted to talk about the low voltage wire, and we'll walk back over here. Each drop has one low voltage wire, each switch. So as you can see here, I have two. It's hard to see, but I've got two wires coming up here from the drop 1 and drop 2. And then I've got those two joined together with a third one, and my third one is going out toward my motor. So at each connection, you'll have 3 wires, and it's actually 6 wires, but you'll have all them, they'll crimp them together, and then you'll run it to the next Y, which again, you'll have another drop, and you'll have another, you'll connect the one you just connected, and another one going toward the motor. So that's pretty self-explanatory. You just got to connect them all together, and they want to go to the next section. As far as you can see how I did these, it's just red to red, black to black. Same thing here, red to red, black to black. Then my last one there, you can see another one kind of tied up right there. It's hard to see. And then once it's tied up there, there's a low voltage switch right here. And all you do is crimp that in. I've just got them laid in there right now, temporary. But what happens is you basically get a 110 outlet here, 15 amp, and then you plug in your motor, and then every time that the flap is opened, it switches this on and turns the motor on. And then when the flap closes, there's a switch in there, it closes everything down. So you're just completing a circuit. I just figured this out by calling the distributor direct and asking them about how exactly that plugs in. If you know anything about electrical, you'll know it already, but basically you just want to make sure that whatever section, or however you put the red and black, the 2 wires into the switch, you have to be the same way on every switch, because if you ever cross one that's not the same, you're not going to be able to, you know, open that circuit. So it don't matter red, black, it don't matter which side it's on, just as long as you're consistent when you install. And I'll show you one of the switches in a little bit. But basically that's the last thing you have to do. Crimp that, and then put all the wires into your switches, and then screw it on the wall, and you're ready to go. So it's real simple. I've tested this, made sure it worked with an extension cord. I just grounded the wires to each other, and I did try one of the switches one time. But that's it. I mean, it is simple, but it takes more planning than anything else. I mean, it's not that it's hard to do the work. I mean, it's, sweaty, it's tight. It's not a big deal though. It's not don't take a lot of knowledge to do it, because I didn't know anything about it. You just gotta connect everything, and you're good to go. I will go down to the bottom, and I'm going to show you the switches, like I said, and some of those connectors maybe. Just show you what you get with your system. So let's go down there. And before we go down there, I'll just show you the system I've got. It's the Vacuflo. The Model 260 is what it says. Maybe you can see that. Yeah, Model 260. So there you go. So let's walk downstairs and we'll check out one of the switches. Alright, so I'm sitting you on my my shelf here on a box so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. I wanted to show you just kind of what the piping is. So this is the 2-inch pipe that come with the system. It's real thin. That was one of the things when I was using my cutter here I bought. It wanted to compress, so every time you went to grab it, I'll show you. There's a short piece. There's one. So when you go to crimp, and this was especially noticeable when you had a short piece. It wasn't as bad with a long piece. It was actually almost impossible. If you had a short piece you wanted to cut, you really need to use a little hacksaw. Of course, the finish on there is not as good. But you can see, because of how thin everything is, it wants to compress. And so I'd try to kind of twist it and get it started. But anyway, that was the one hard thing about it, because it wanted to, do, like I said, it's impossible to do a short one. So there you go. Anyway, your pipe come in these long 8-foot sections. Let me get those, show you. So you can see here the 8-foot sections. I forget how many feet I got. I'll look here in a second, but I got 2 bundles of these. I used up 1.5 basically, or not hardly 1.5. But I had plenty, so I could redo some stuff I needed to, repair some stuff. And also, since we're looking at the pipe, I wanted to read on here and show you. It's real specific. This is not just PVC pipe. It's like a central vac tubing. So it's Mac Plastics 2-inch OD PVC central vac tubing 32520. I think it's a time 18:22. It's HP products. Let me see what it says here. HP products, Louisville, Ohio, made in USA. So that's Louisville, Ohio, is where Vacuflo is. So it's probably their stuff. And I'll show you a couple of the connectors. This is your lazy 90s. You can see they're not real tight. They're real long, lazy for the garbage to come through. So you got those. And you also have these 45s, which are like this. You can use multiple to make a turn if you didn't want to use a 90, like we used a couple at one time. You've also got these end-to-end connectors. They were pretty simple. You just put end to end like that, put another end, keep going straight. And then from there, I'll show you these flaps here. These are my switches, and it's got Vacuflo on there. It's hard to see. Just fits in there. You've got I'll just open it up. You've got 4 holes there for screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. It fits in there. Screw it down. Comes with screws, and then the little switch is right there, so it's got a spring to it. So when you open it, switch engages. The system turns on with that the low voltage wire. Your 2 wire holes are right here. There we go. You see them? Well, right there. Right here where my finger is. There's just 2 little sections. You just put one in one, one in the other. You just got to be consistent on all of them. It's got a little gasket there, rubber, where it seals. That's it. It's real simple. I know I'm making a long video, but I just wanted to show you what comes with this. So you've got a rack that holds the actual hose. And then here you can see I've got the 30-foot hose. I've got the hardwood stuff, the concrete. I've got a turbo cat. That's for I'll have rugs and stuff. And then you've got your tubing, your 2 pieces for the long tube that goes into this, your metal tube. And then I also got the crevice tool, and then I think somewhere over here, not sure where, but I've got a detail brush. So anyway, it just comes with everything. This one here is it's like a hard one. That's more for like carpets, I think, but it's another one. And then something I did not mention, well, I mentioned, but we didn't talk about it. So my low voltage wire, I told you, I bought that separately, and it was 18.2 low voltage wire, and I was told that's just what I needed. To connect those, I just bought these twisters at Lowe's, real cheap, maybe a couple dollars. Didn't use but a few of them. Well, 6, 12, 18, you know, less than 20. And trying to think if there's anything else in here. It's just specific. You do get a little bit of instructions. It just tells you about what not to do and what to do as far as where you're piping. Shows about your Ys and how they need to go and how you need to keep slacking your low voltage wire. Simple stuff, not really terribly helpful. And then also it shows a little bit about your muffler, how it needs to go in line. So anyway, to be installed in line with the exhaust tubing. So there you go. And then, like I said, it's got a few other little, you know, connectors, brushes. There's my little detail brush, come with it. That's about it. My tubing, like I said, 8 foot. So, you know, that'll just be, you'll need as many as you'll need for your house. So you can measure that out. As I mentioned, the flap out there, the exhaust flap, did not come with a system for some reason. I don't know if it's something they forgot or if, you know, for whatever reason, didn't come with one. But like I said, for $10, I got it. My low voltage wire, I bought 100 foot of it. I think, no, it might have been 75. Anyway, it ended up costing me, I believe it was 100 foot, but it cost me about, I don't know, $60 something. I bought a little crimper tool too. It was like 75 total. So anyway, it might have been 40 for the wire. But anyway, got all that. And the other thing I was going to show you, and I'll just read it off here, my cost for the system. I know this video is long. I'm going to do the chapters. So I bought my system on December 11th, 2020. So it was 2 years ago, a little over. My system was $1,651. So $1,651.38. After taxes, and I'll go to that. Taxes and all for my system, with shipping and everything, was $1,811.38. Plus I spent $75 for the low voltage wire, you know, and a crimper, few dollars, you know, $10 for the flap, and then I bought just odd and end stuff like the zip ties. These are the zip ties I used to secure the 2-inch pipe, and these were a little short. I had to double them up. Just put screws in there, loop them around the pipe, screw that to the wall, and that supported it just fine. And then, you know, obviously electrical tapes. Cents. It's $1 for some electrical tape. And you know, that was about it. I mean, basically at the end of the day, it's pretty much $2,000. You know, but you've got a system that'll last 50 years, except for maybe a motor. You might have to replace a $100 motor, you know, every 30 years, you know, or something, or 15, whatever. Other than that, everything's good. I think that's everything. So if you have any questions, you can put in the comments, or I've got a link to my website, and I've got a little place you can, you know, send me a message and ask questions about it. I just tried to cover the basic stuff that I had questions about. Like I said, I know the video is too long, but I'll put the chapter markers, and you know, maybe that'll make it easier. But at least it gives you an idea of what just a random person can do with their own system, not having to pay somebody to do it. Because it's not hard. I was kind of scared about it, or a little apprehensive. My dad was like, "We'll do it." We got out here, spent more time thinking about it than we ever did doing the work. And then I did the exhaust myself. It takes a little sitting and looking and thinking about it. That's the biggest thing. So other than that, you know, you end up with a few extra tools. Like, you know, this cost me $20. So, you know, things like that. But it's nice to know that you did it. You know how it's done. If there's ever a problem, you did it, so you know how it's put together, and so that's kind of satisfying for me, at least. It may not be to anybody else. If you want it installed, I'll do them for about $1,500 a drop. That's way too much probably, but we figured out with our time we spent on it that that's about what it's worth. If you're gonna charge somebody to do it, you just can't make any money unless you do it for about $1,500 a drop, unless you're like a plumber and you just want to do it on the side. But most plumbers, most electricians don't want to fool with it, because they're busy doing what they're good at. So nobody does these anymore. So it's nice to get it done and know that I'll I'll enjoy it. So I've made too long a video. Talk to you later. If you have any questions about anything, message me. If you have any questions about the house, you can message me about that too, because I've made several videos. I've got a big building, a 60 foot by 80 foot, 50 foot of it's shop, 30 foot of it's house. I've enjoyed the whole process, other than it's been way too long in the making. It's been almost 3 years now, but we're getting close. And I'll leave you with the quiet of a winter day in Alabama.